Hi everyone, this is Jack with ESFI World, and sitting here with me is Cody Evoli Connors. This is day one of MLG Providence. We just finished the Global Invitational, and the pools are going on their way. Or, sorry, not the pools, the championship brackets, and the brackets are on their way. So you are a little bit of a man of mystery. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. As you said, my name is Cody Connors, and I am the general manager of Team Evil Geniuses.
And can you provide some background as to how you got into the StarCraft scene and the esports scene in general?
When I was a tyke, I was really into Counter-Strike 1.6. I'd say probably between the ages 10 to 15. I spent most of my time in IRC ringing for different clans and doing scrims in 1.6, 1.5. And I took a little bit of a break from esports between, say, 15 and 20, and then once the StarCraft 2 beta came out, I got absolutely hooked again. I was enthralled with the scene, and then after a little bit of hard work and a lot of luck, I ended up in the position that I am now.
So how did the site Gosu Trolling come to be, and how did you feel after it ended? Would you be able to give a little bit of an overview of what the site was for people who aren't sure?
Okay, so Gosu Trolling was actually sort of a venture in serious journalism in the StarCraft 2 scene that I started about a year and a half ago. And my goal at the time was just to provide quality interviews with the best players and sort of break news. For the most part, our community gets our news from forums like Team Liquid or news aggregates like Reddit. So I sort of wanted to sort of try bringing serious writing to the scene. So I started Gosu Trolling. I ran that for about 6 months. I did a lot of fantastic interviews with members from teams like EG and Team Liquid, and then as I got more and more involved in the scene, different opportunities presented themselves, so I slowly started to work my way away from Gosu Trolling as there'd be conflicts of interest with other jobs. So it started as just sort of an experiment and something new, and then it ended as sort of I got more involved with the scene. It still holds a soft spot in my heart. I care about it a lot. I actually keep the domain active. If anyone wants to check it out at gosutrolling.com, you can see some old interviews. So.
Can you tell us about how you got your job at Six Jacks and then the transition into EG? And also, would you be able to provide some insight on how different the organizations are and how the environment is different between the two?
So I started working with Six Jacks, which was a North American StarCraft team that existed until, say, late summer this year, right after Gosu Trolling. So because of my work at Gosu Trolling, I was invited to work at Six Jacks Gaming as their editor-in-chief. So I did that for about 2 months. And then the team itself went through a little bit of a transition period, and during that period I was promoted from editor-in-chief to director of operations. So I went from essentially managing a small team of writers and writing myself to managing the entire StarCraft team. So I did that for about 6 months before Six Jacks sort of, it ended up not being sustainable anymore, and the company split up. And then after that, I had a good relationship with a lot of the members of EG's management team and a lot of members of the team itself. I was, really good personal friends with a lot of the StarCraft players. So after quite a bit of talking, I was taken on as general manager of EG. And as far as the differences between Six Jacks and EG, they're night and day. With EG, I work with just an absolutely fantastic team of qualified, very competent individuals. And in terms of management, I work with Anna Prosser, a gentleman named Colin DeShong, Brandon Freytag, and then there's, of course, Sir Scoots, our COO, who most people know from things like Live on 3 and One More Game, and then Alex Garfield, who some people are probably familiar with, long history in esports. So at EG, I have like a sort of very specific role in the company, whereas at Six Jacks, I had this broader director of operations role where pretty much everything was mine to sort of look after. And so I do a lot of the same things at EG that I did for Six Jacks, but I have a lot more help at EG.
What are your roles and responsibilities within the organization of EG?
So as general manager, my primary responsibility is just to make sure that our players are doing what's expected of them and make sure that they have everything that they need to sort of focus on practicing and be the best gamers that they can. My job is to work with the players almost exclusively, whether it's making sure that they're practicing, making sure that they're signed up for events, making sure that the travel accommodations they need for events are taken care of, making sure that sort of their heads are in the right places if they need it, taking care of forms they need to fill out. I'm essentially there to facilitate their careers as gamers. Like, if I can cut out anything superfluous for them, I'm there to do it.
Have you had a chance to make it out to the EG house?
I unfortunately haven't. I'm hoping to do that pretty soon. My schedule's opening up a little bit. It's sort of a busy time of the year. We're traveling a lot. So unfortunately, no, but I'm hoping that I'll be out there pretty soon.
And so you also were involved with the IGN Pro League. Can you tell us a little bit about what you did with them?
Yeah, so I had a couple of friends working for IGN when they first started their esports initiative. And back when I was still working for Six Jacks as managing editor, those friends, Edward Chang, who's now the business director for Complexity, and Alex Kahn, who is now the senior ops manager at IGN, invited me to sort of take a sneak peek at what they were planning for their esports endeavor for this year. So back in April, they invited me down, and I did like an exclusive sort of a preview about what they had in store. And I kind of watched them, and I was just a third party. I was an outsider at the time. And then as their division, sort of grew and blossomed into what it was today, they realized that they really wanted to produce some content of their own, some editorial content. So they invited me on board to be editor-in-chief of their esports division, which was a position that I held until very recently.
And so at IPL 3, you had the position of press manager for IPL as well as general manager for EG. How was that weekend, and how was it balancing those two major roles at a StarCraft 2 event?
It was not easy. I was working exclusively as managing editor at IGN, and then 2 days prior to IPL 3, I was officially offered the position of general manager at EG. So I had I'd planned on working that event with just one hat on, and it sort of turned out that I needed to work, with two hats. It was difficult. The hours were long. Both organizations expected a lot out of me, but it was really rewarding. The event was fantastic. I thought our players, I thought our StarCraft players did absolutely phenomenally, and I was really impressed with their play. So while it was difficult, it was really rewarding, and I don't know. I thought that challenge sort of prepared me for the rest of my time, that I've spent with EG, because that was definitely a trial by far.
So the job in esports has become this kind of ideal within the community that a lot of young members are kind of aspiring to. I would say that you pretty much have the ultimate dream job within the StarCraft 2 community. Can you tell us a little bit about your educational background and the steps that you've taken to get to where you are?
Okay, so I have a Bachelor in Arts and Journalism, and that's sort of where I came from. I came from a writing background. I had no experience really in management. It was something that I sort of lucked into, and I did pretty well at, and it's something, it's a skill set that I've honed over time. So with Ghost Who Trolling, I just started with the intent of, I'll try my best to be a quality writer. I'll try and make the community happy with good articles and good interviews. And from there, esports it's a tough community to break into, and as an industry, if you're looking to make a career out of it, it's even more difficult. But hard work is something that definitely doesn't go unnoticed. If you work hard, people will pay attention. If you network, people will, if you have services to provide and you can do what you do very well, people, will take note of that. So, my background in writing sort of helped get me into to Six Jacks, which was a fantastic opportunity. And then my willingness to sort of work a little extra at Six Jacks helped me become director of operations, which helped me get noticed by other teams like Evil Geniuses, who have given me another chance to sort of continue my career in esports.
Do you have any advice for people who are aspiring to get their ultimate esports job?
It's tough. It's really a difficult industry to break into. Now is definitely more promising than it's been in the past. We go through dry spells where there's not a lot of opportunities. Getting a job at a team is not something that you're going to find on Craigslist. You're not going to be tabbing through the classifieds and be like, sick team manager. That's it. So volunteer, you know what I mean? There are communities like Team Liquid, Reddit, Well Played, where you can sort of, you can start to write, you can start to get your name out there. The opportunity to do stuff yourself is endless. No one's stopping you from doing anything. There's that famous Day 9 quote where you don't ask for permission, just do it. If you think you're a quality writer and you'd like to be involved with esports, start your own blog, and if you're good enough, people will notice. If you think you're apt at operations stuff, ask to volunteer at an MLG or an IPL, or send your resume out. There's nothing really stopping you from doing anything. And while it's unlikely that those first batch of resumes that you send out are going to get a response, if you just keep working hard, I mean, who's gonna turn down someone that's really qualified, really talented, and really passionate?
Do you have any professional role models or career mentors within the community?
This is gonna sound a little sappy, but I was personal friends with Scott Smith, Sir Scoots, and Alex Garfield before coming on, and I knew them exclusively as I'd see them at events, we'd say hi, we'd shoot the shit, and they were personable, and I liked them. But I've been really impressed with. Actually, I'm going to take that even a step back. The entire management team at Evil Geniuses has really, really impressed me. Everyone is extremely intelligent. They work really efficiently. So, Scott Smith, one of the standout esports personas, fantastic. Alex Garfield less so, because he's not in the face of the public as much as Scott is, but he runs this team, and he does a standout job at it. Anna Prosser, my sort of like right hand when it comes to managing the team, she's doing all the stuff out of the house. She makes, anytime I need help, she does it well. And then Colin DeShong and Brandon Freytag at Evil Geniuses too. They've been in esports a tad longer than I have. Really hard workers. They sort of help, keep the, the endorsements coming in. They facilitated a lot of the sponsorships we have. So if I could sort of like harness all the assets that the other Evil Geniuses managers have, I'd be set, man. They're the best.
So over the years, you've developed a number of friendships and relationships with a lot of people just in the community. Do you have a hard time ever separating your professional life and your personal life?
It is kind of it's a tad difficult. That's actually a pretty good question. With Six Jacks, I had my professional role before I knew them as people. It was just like, hey, you're manager and here's your players. But with Evil Geniuses, it was different. I knew Greg, I knew Jeff, I knew Bryce, I knew everyone beforehand. So, my job oftentimes, it's my responsibility to express the goals and interests of Evil Geniuses as a team and an organization to the players. And inversely, oftentimes it's my job to, let the team and the management know the desires and the needs of the players. So it gets difficult, you know what I mean? Because, oftentimes a friend will come with you and he'll have a problem, or he'll want something, So there's a lot of push and pull, but there's, sort of a level of respect between the management and the players. No one takes advantage of personal, relationships and stuff. So while it's difficult, it's manageable as long as you're diligent and respectful to one another.
So what do you do to balance between being a gamer, a fan, a professional, and a friend?
Another pretty stand-up question. It's tough. Being a gamer it's really interesting. When I was man, I really want to work in esports. I want to do StarCraft. I was playing a lot, and the more you get involved, the less time you have to play. So that's difficult as a gamer, but it's important that you sort of stick to your roots. I make sure to play every week. I make sure to pay attention to my responsibilities at EG, and I think that it's important. As a manager, it's important that I play and I keep up to date. It's tough, and it's tough as a fan too, because you'll be friends and fans of people from other teams. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's something that never comes up. I guess you just sort of try your best to be yourself, I guess, and then hope that you end up doing everything right.
And so, how are you enjoying your time as an Evil Genius?
It's pretty awesome. I get the privilege of working with world champions day in and day out. I get to see my good friends succeed as players, and then I get to see my good friends, on the management side, sort of, succeed as professionals. It's fantastic. I think there's probably no other organization like it out there in the scene. So it's an opportunity that I've been extremely thankful for, and I hope they're going to keep me around.
So you said that you were friends with a lot of the players before you joined the team, but what's your chemistry like with each of them?
It's funny, like in jobs I've worked in the past, like outside of esports, like you'll have like the relationship you maybe have in the office, and then if you hang out outside the office, they're different people. And for the most part at EG, like you get the same person through and through. Like me and Greg can shoot the shit and be sarcastic. Jeff, when you talk to him, he's still rifling off jokes. Axelav, if you've seen him stream, he's as earnest in real life as he is on his stream. Bryce, super nice guy. I mean, the team is pretty straightforward.
What's the hardest part about working with different personality types? You have, people like Jeff who are very personable, really public, really outspoken, and then you have people like Chris who are kind of like your high school jock, and then someone more like Idra who, sometimes is known for a little bit of BM and rage.
It's you definitely have to tailor the way you deal with each player to like what they want and what they think is appropriate. Some players like their management to be like very hands-on and want most of, they like to be informed a lot of the time. They, if you're thinking, about maybe if you have an idea, they want to know about it, if they want to be up to date with, what's going on from the management side of things. And then other players are extremely laid back, and it's important, like when you first start, like if you ever get a position like this, that you just sort of take the time to figure out what the needs are from each player and what they expect of you as a manager, and then you try your best to give them what they want. If they need everything laid out in front of them and they want up to the minute updates, give them that. If they like to be left alone and get told what they need to do, you let them you just let them know.
Okay, so our final question: what's it like being one of the sickest nerd ballers at MLG Providence?
It's as cool as you would imagine, I think. It lives up to the title. It's swell, I guess. It's pretty cool.
So do you have any shout-outs or anyone you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank our sponsors first and foremost. It means a lot to us here at Evil Geniuses that these companies are willing to sort of, keep the roofs over our heads, keep us fed. So a big thank you to Intel, SteelSeries, Monster Energy, Kingston HyperX, and Beyond Gaming. We appreciate it a lot. We cannot express how grateful we are.
So thank you so much for sitting down with us, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right. Thank you for having me.